Hey everybody, this is Ken. We're in my garage and we're going to switch it up a little bit. Instead of working on the 46 Ford, we're going to do a little powder coating. My son has a Harley and he bought a crash bar. And he didn't want it chrome, he wants it powder coated, or he wants it black. But he got a really good deal, screaming deal on this actually. So we're going to powder coat it here in my garage. We'll give it a shot. I'm using a Eastwood unit. It's supposedly a dual voltage, although I've really seen not very much difference using both different voltages. I've used it for a lot of things though. It's a good unit. It works. And I've powder coated a lot of small parts and some medium-sized parts. This will be the most awkward part that I've ever powder coated. I'm using some powder from Prismatic Powders. There's a label. This is called Obsidian Black, and I ordered it special because it supposedly gives a really hard finish. You can kind of select the powders from their site by what your usage is. So I did that, and I loaded it in a bottle I can spray from. And you got to make sure when you're dealing with these powders that you keep the lids on, or you keep them twisted shut, or whatever it takes to seal them, because this powder will absorb moisture if you just leave the bottles open, and then it will clunk and clot, and you can't use it. So make sure you close all the lids up. This has a rather inexpensive powder coating gun, but it works. It's broken loose up here, so I glued it once, and now it's taped too. I use a regulator on it because you don't want to put a whole lot of pressure through these, and I have a moisture filter so that I don't get any moisture through. And when I'm hooking this up, let me grab my airline. I make sure and bleed my pressure out of my airline too, because I don't want to put 120 or whatever my compressor's putting out into this little guy. It's probably only rated for about 60 pounds. So you turn your compressor down or turn your regulator down. And I used to see about 14 on the gauge when I was where I was at, but now my gauge battery's died. So all I look for is that I've got good flow out of this port here, because that's where the air comes out and the powder goes in right there. Then it comes out this end. This is just stirring the powder up. That's all it's doing. Air pressure. So I get enough that the powder is going to be stirred up well, and then I can regulate just by my trigger how much I get coming out. All right? Also, when you're powder coating, this thing has a charge to it. And what looks like the ground cable is supplying the charge to the part. So we got a negative charge and a positive charge. I don't know which comes out of which, but they do, and so it attracts each other, and the powder is charged as it passes through here, goes to the charged metal and sticks to it. That's how powder coating works. Then we'll put it in the oven. The powder will turn to a liquid, flow out on the material, and as soon as it's reached the temperature and time, which is 10 minutes at 400 for this powder, different for almost all of them, so make sure you know what your powder is at. Then we turn it off and let it cool, and should all be good. So we also have a little button on this unit. This initiates the charge. You press the button, now it's charging, now it's not. So you can set this down without it arcing. If you get this tip close to what you're working with, it'll arc across, and it actually blows the powder away when it does that from where it's arcing. So don't arc across. If you do, pull back, go over it again, fill in that hole you just made in your powder, and keep going. When you're putting your part in your oven, and that's the tricky part, because if you touch this, you're wiping powder off. It doesn't stick like glue, it's clinging there by static basically. So you got to be very careful putting it in your oven. Also, you should be careful spraying it because the powder, while not toxic, is an irritant. So you want to wear a dust mask or something like that. I will or won't, depending on whether I'm yapping at you during the video. And I've made a hanger for it, a metal hanger. I don't know if you can see that here. My desk is pretty crowded with things, but this is how we're going to hang it. And I designed this to hold it in this configuration because it's got to fit in my oven, which is narrow but tall. So I'm going to wipe this down with acetone. I'm actually going to hang it first, and then I'll wipe it down with acetone. Let me turn you just a little bit. All right, what I'm using here is just nothing more than a cloth closet, they call them. You can get it like at any of the Walmarts or box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever. It's simply for putting clothes in, and you can zip it closed and they don't get all dusty. But what it does is it keeps the powder from circulating throughout my garage, and that's what I use it for. And you can definitely see it's used. It looks silver in there and some black, and there's some colors mixed in occasionally. But we're going to spray this. We're going to flip it around, make sure it's all sprayed on the other side. In fact, I'll probably start it on the other side because this is how I want it to go in the oven. But first, wipe it down with acetone. So let's go. I use acetone. Sometimes I've used brake cleaner. Sometimes lacquer thinner, but acetone doesn't leave any residue. It evaporates really quickly, so it's a good cleaner. All I'm doing, you can see over my shoulder maybe, is I'm wiping the part down. I've done it already before, but I've been handling it. And the one thing I don't want is fingerprints on this, for a couple of reasons. The fingerprints actually repel the powder sometimes, or the static charge. I don't know which, but anyway, you see your fingerprints in it. So you don't want that. Clean it well. Sand it. You won't need, just like paint, your surface preparation is very important. And although this thing looks shiny, it's sanded completely with 400 grit. So it is not shiny. It's almost a satin color. There are a few tight spots around some of the welds that I could not get, really well into, but all around it, it's nicely sanded, and I don't think we'll have any problem. And my acetone is already evaporated off of this rag. Tripping over my own air hose. We're done. All right, it's clean. It's ready to go. So we need to transfer this to the gun. Don't fill this thing up with powder. Put it about half, 2/3. That works best. That gives you some airspace to stir it up, because you don't want to blow powder out in a solid stream. You want it to come out as a fog. I think that's good description. If you see it as a fog, you're putting out the right amount of powder. And then you can increase or decrease by just changing your pressure a little bit. So screw it on good. Get a drink of coffee. Make sure that you've got a connection to your part, which is this little wire. Now I can clip it to the part, or I can clip it to my wires that are holding the part, and that is what I'm going to do because I don't want it touching the part, because anywhere it touches, powder's not going to be. It will flow slightly, so like if I just, had it clipped maybe right here, and I took it off when I put it in the oven, it might flow out there, and that's not too bad a spot because there's going to be a bolt and washer. But this will work good, or good enough for me. So long as this cord isn't touching that, I'm happy. Now, if you do screw up and you wipe powder off, and I may do that during this video, it's not the end of the world. You just need to either recoat or actually take the wipe all the powder off and start again if you've done a really big mess up. I got a little twist in my hose here, so let's get that undone. There we go. All right. Lastly, we need our button to energize everything. And I actually have this set on high, so we'll see how it goes. We'll watch the powder, we'll see if it clings to it or if it just falls to the floor. There's my powder, and it's coming out in a fog, and right away you see how it's turning the chrome black because my powder is sticking well to the chrome. That's clean chrome and sanded, and we're just getting a really light coat on it. I just want to make sure the whole thing's coated, and then I'm going to apply a much heavier coat. I want to make sure it's just going to stick everywhere. I don't have any fish eyes. There's nothing, I forget what it's called, but sometimes the charge will actually start making a circle. And I forget what it's called. I wish I could remember it. But no matter what you do, you can't get it to go on there. So usually it's a matter of re-wiping, resetting everything, and trying again. But this looks really good here. This is nice. So now I'm just going to lay it on pretty thick on this side. It will go on to the other side too. It goes all the way around it. But I'll turn it around and I'll look and make sure that it's fully coated. I'm starting to make a cloud. I'm going to put on a dust mask. A very well used one. There we go. All right, can you hear me? Can't see me. See me talking. All right. I could just throw that in the oven, but we're going to turn it around and make sure it's covered. Rehook that back up. Now this is where you've got to be careful. Don't touch it. No touchy. Move slow. Just like the tortoise here, slow and careful. Get our charge hooked back up. There we are. You can see it's a little lighter coating on this side, so it's good that we flipped it over. You see that? Now if I point this right here, I can actually blow that powder off. So I want it to drift on there, not get blown on there. And I'm regulating my flow just by how much I'm pulling the trigger. Now there comes a point when the powder, there's enough powder, it just won't cling anymore. And it just starts falling off. And you can kind of watch that happen as you're spraying. And that's all right. That just tells us we've got our coating good. Also, if I need more, I can recoat this. It's a cool thing about powder coating. So that's our coat for it. I'm gonna hit my air, set that up there, that over there. You can see that my cable, which was red, is now all black. It's just red on this end. I'll have to clean that up. And let's get this out of the way. All right, I'll be right back. All right, got our powder coated. Actually, the cloud of dust has settled. I didn't mean to run off, but I forgot to plug my oven in. You want to see my oven? It's quite a contraption. Let's turn just a little bit. I think you can see her right there. What's that? It's actually 2 ovens put together. I cut the top off one, the bottom off another, stuck them together, wired the burners in. Controls are on this side. We're going to stick the part in. It's warming up now, so I'm actually going to let it warm up a little bit. I've got springs to hold the doors tight against the seals on the sides. Got lots of powder coating stuff under here. Lots of powder coating stuff up there. A lot of hangers. And most importantly, a temperature gun. Got to have one of these guys so you know what your temperature is. Of course, it has a dial, but yeah, it's better if you point this at it and hit it. So, now we can put this in while it's heating. Otherwise, I'm just going to be standing here for quite a while. There you go. Now you can see the contraption. Once again, slow and careful. There's actually hooks in the top of my oven. All right, that's about as careful as I get it in there. It's not touching on any sides. It looks pretty good. Let's close the doors up. Really close right here. I've actually pre-tested it. Using my springs to hold it tight. And now we wait. What I'm waiting for is to see the powder flow out. That's what it's called. I don't know if I'm getting my head cut off or not. But what happens is it goes from that dull looking to a shiny looking, and that's the powder has started to melt. That means my part has gotten close to temperature. So when it does that, I'll zap it really quick to see if it's up to temp, and if it is, that's when I start my timer. It's not from when I put it in. It's from when it starts to flow out and the part has reached temperature. So that's what we're waiting for here. While we're waiting, I'm going to clean up stuff and see you in a few seconds. All right, I've checked inside the oven. I've used my temp gun. The paint has flowed out onto the part and it's just under 400 degrees. So I've started my timer, and in 10 minutes, we're going to check the part. So we'll be back in a snap. All right, it's been time. I'm pretty excited to look at the part. So let me shut the oven off, open it up, I'm not going to take it out, but I'll bring you close enough and get some light over here that you can see it. The reason I'm not going to take it out is I don't want to bump it. Right now the powder is still kind of a liquid. Can you see that thing in there? Holy smokes, probably not. Let's get some light in there. I'm gonna unscrew you and bring you here close. Hang on. All right. Let's come a little closer. Take a look at that. That is black, and super shiny. And that's all liquid at the moment. As soon as it cools, it'll be good. All right, that's powder coating my garage. A few other things I wanted to tell you is that powder coating is flammable. So when you make a mess with it, don't get out your regular old shop vac and go vacuuming it up. You might get away with it a few times, but unless it's intrinsically safe, which means that that powder can't get into the motor anywhere, you could start a fire by vacuuming it up. Use your whisk broom or dustpan, whatever you got, but be safe in your garage with everything you do, and get out and work on your stuff. Catch you guys later.